Okay, we are live. Can we get someone to offer an opening prayer?
Yeah, I mean, I will. That's fine.
Thank you.
Our Father in heaven, we are indeed grateful for this day and for the many blessings that thou hast given us. We are so grateful for the opportunity that we have to continue our education and to get together as a group to help to teach one another and to be an example to each other. We ask you to watch over all of us as we go throughout our schooling and our days, that we will be strengthened emotionally and physically and spiritually, and we will have thy spirit to guide us through all that we need to do. And we ask for these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So what everyone think about the case study?
The case study was weird. I don't know. And I guess, I was trying to think the whole time that it was, it was Army, right? So you're thinking, all right, well, it's the Army or it's the military because he was at West Point, which doesn't really have an affiliation. Beautiful campus, by the way. I've been there. But it was just, he spent so much time to me, like looking at the data and saying, well, all of the data says that this should be, they are individually, they are all the strongest people. And all the data says that your strongest people will be your best team. But then you put them together and they weren't. Well, hello, then you got to work on something differently. You know what I mean? Like they were more interested in finger pointing and the blame game and not wanting to take responsibility for their own behaviors. And that's what breaks down a team. Then you have the JV team who they were like nothing to lose, so they just went out and acted that way. They had nothing to lose, and that's why they were so successful. I mean, you see it time and time again, the underdogs and all of that. So I just thought as a military leader, he certainly should have been able to work on that human component a little bit better. But I don't really think that's their strong suit, right? In the military, that's not what they're not the touchy-feely kind of people. So, I thought it was interesting. I thought the first couple paragraphs were like explained all about rowing and everything. I mean, that's an intense sport. It's crazy. They have to be in the best shape of their life, right? And if one person's like just off by a millisecond, it throws the whole boat off. You're thinking that's a lot of there's no such thing as individuality in that one at all. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my thoughts.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the data shows, okay, the biggest, strongest people apparently are the best. Okay, but if you don't work together well as a team, it doesn't matter how great and strong you are, you're not going to succeed. I think about it as in the mission field. You put two companions together who are a lot alike, who love to go out and do contacts for something, right? And they either butt heads because they're too similar, or they're not successful. It's when you get a little bit of diversity where one person's strengths can help the other person's weaknesses grow. That's when you can start progressing and become better. And so I do not think that the military leader was a good leader because he's only focusing on one aspect. Okay, and that he needs to focus more on like the teamwork. Because it is a team sport. One person not rowing ruins it for everybody else. That's why the JV did so well, because they're rock bottom and all they can go is up, and they probably got together as a team saying, "Hey, let's prove them wrong."
I thought another thing that was interesting was in the part where it was explaining about the different roles that are in the boat. One of them is called the stroke, and basically they're the person that sets the pace for the whole entire boat. And I think one thing that the case study pointed out was that they didn't have a leader. So that means they didn't have a stroke, that someone was there to set the pace for the whole game. And so I think as well as working well as a team, they also didn't have someone, whether that was a designated captain or someone who just took charge on their own to help guide the group to success. I think there were just too many cooks in the kitchen, and they were just all trying to, cook things, obviously.
Yeah, nobody in the group was a leader. They were all followers, and I think another thing that was interesting is none of them are open-minded to even trying to do anything to work better as a team. And so it didn't even care to win.
I think there also like negative vibes too, like with the varsity. They're super confused at other people and super, like oh, this person did this, and it's like the JV looked at things more as a whole, as their whole team, if they could go together instead of team members.
Yeah, they immediately started pointing fingers at each other right from the get-go when they only beat the JP team by a little bit. So it was a bad start.
Right. They couldn't even be happy when they beat them because they didn't beat them by enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me?
They're too prideful.
Oh, absolutely.
That was what I noticed about it was not necessarily that the coach was without leadership, but that they were unwilling to listen to any kind of leadership. Because he brought in like a psychological team of sports, like sports psychologists to help them with their team building. And the varsity team immediately said, oh, this is touchy-feely. We're not going to do this, and the JV team was like, sure, we'll try it, So
Yeah.
I think their lack of open-mindedness made a huge difference in why.
Well, in their mind, they're the best. So why do they need to change anything when they're already the best? And that was their mentality.
I think even at sport levels, professional levels and above, like there's always room for growth. You're never perfect. So, being unwilling to listen to criticism, even if it's constructive criticism, I think shows a lot about the characters of, the people that were on the varsity team. So what exactly are we supposed to discuss other than that? Is there anything other than that?
Well, and then kind of instructions that talks about how can we apply that into our lives as members of the church.
Learning to be humble is important,
Mm-hmm.
and to understanding that we can't get back to the celestial kingdom and be in God's presence again without each other. That's why we all have to be sealed together. We're all one. And without each other, we can't get back. So we accept and tolerate each other's sins and work together.
I think also, kind of what I mentioned about constructive criticism, I think we always progress we make on on ourselves, and that we're never perfect, and that do certain things perfectly. We're human and we have flaws, and so we could we need for this is someone in the church that needs to change, we can take that constructive criticism and put it into our hearts and so that we can.
Is everyone else having a hard time hearing?
Kind of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of, from what I got from this that I can apply in my own life is, I love learning about the gospel. I love going to gospel doctrines during the week. I love learning. I love learning all about that, and I really do not like going to gospel principles. For 2 years I taught it every week on my mission. That kind of drives me crazy, but it's so nice to go there and focus on the absolute basics before you go to anything else. I mean, to open up the scriptures and to discuss for an hour one chapter, that's great. But unless you have the foundation, that kind of what they were talking about, like being kind of like what we're talking about, being humble, willing to grow, willing to progress, willing to learn. We can't really do that unless we have the foundation, unless we have the basics.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you're applying kind of what we've learned, so far with the different case studies, and I think that certainly the wilderness activity, it gave us an opportunity to learn how to trust somebody else, right? And let them kind of influence you in something of, what you weren't thinking at first, but listening to other people's opinions. So that's good. And then, even with all the different case studies, like just seeing some of the challenges that different people had, and, reading something and coming up with, 7 or 8 points of where there's a problem and then trying to come up with a solution. So it really has helped me kind of think a little bit deeper and sometimes think a little bit around what you think the initial situation is. So it's just kind of helped me with a little bit of critical thinking.
I think also just like in church and in our own lives, we're always working with other people, and we need to be able to work with others and have that leadership give us and help us grow. And there's always kind of I don't want to say like ranking in the church, but there's always like a president and presidency, and they delegate a lot of responsibilities to people. And I think that working together is a huge aspect of the church in our lives.
What about
I
you,
think
Hosanna?
I think one of the things that came to my mind for how it relates to the gospel is, you think about the mote and the beam, taking the mote from somebody else's eye when there's a beam in your own. And with the case of the rowers, they said in the study that if they tried to correct somebody else's mistake, like if somebody else missed a stroke and they tried to row harder to fix it, it would make things much worse. So I kind of thought like, when you try to pick out somebody else's flaws, to correct somebody else's flaws, you're going to make your own situation and your relationship with that person a lot worse. And so that's what it kind of brought to mind for me.
That's awesome. All right. Well, that's what it was telling us to do. I mean, we've hit all the points. I mean, we've only been going for 3 minutes.
I actually looked up this real story to find out what happened. So they actually did fix the problem. And do you want to know how?
Please.
Yeah.
He had the teammates wrestle each other like aggressively and like you and you and you and you, and like eventually they started just like brawling with the guys that they had the most problems with, and then they ended up just in a huge like heap of just fighting, but then they never had a problem with each other again. They just like worked out their aggression, realized everyone was strong, everyone was determined, and they were happy. So I thought that was so funny.
That's funny.
Well, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because they kept saying, oh, they're not pulling their weight, they're not pulling their weight. But when they all saw that they were strong and passionate about, you know, stuff, they were like, oh, these people are trying as hard as I am, and I need to stop trying to compensate for them, I guess, because everybody's like, I'm pulling the team, I'm carrying us, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was an interesting conclusion. I'm like, too bad you can't do that in an office when there's problems with teamwork. Fight, fight, fight.
Oh, I would volunteer for that one.
Yeah.
I'd be the first
Like,
one.
come on the conference room table, everybody fight. Oh well. But
Well, this was a good discussion.
Loved it. Any last comments from anyone?
I'm good.
mm,
Don't wanna.
Sorry, I was trying to talk. Has anybody looked at the 360 feedback piece that we need to do? Because it's talking all about the group, like how we participated, like how you individually participated, how we participate as a group. Is there anything that the group thinks that you need to improve on? Things like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, that's something that we need to do. I personally, I think we've done a good job. I think we try to start on time. We communicate early enough so everybody can get on. You know, everybody pretty much jumped right in to take a leadership position. So I think we've done a pretty good job there. So just, you know, that's just the next thing that that has to be done this week too. So.
Awesome. Is that just on?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
does anyone have the list of like what we took,
I
like
do.
which weeks we took? Because like I can't find it in my email.
I have, but I'll send it
Would you
out to
mind
everybody.
resending it? Thank you.
Yeah, it should be still on the Google, like in a Google Doc.
Yeah, I lost it. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, that'd be great if you could just send it out again then, just so make sure everybody has it.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
Sounds
alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Do we know who the leader is for next week?
That's
I
me.
just sent it to everybody.
I think it's
Oh, thank you.
Oh, look at that, it just came in.
I can, Jordan, it looks like you're signed up for a lot. You want me to take one of yours?
I only have one left.
You want
If
me
you
to
want
take one since you already done two?
it, go for it.
Okay. I'll do lesson 9.
Okay.
all right. Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, awesome discussion. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, you guys. Have a good
Good night, guys.
weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
Take care.